The Fire Commission, Commissioner Bill Coffin from the 1st Battalion, to escort the award recipients to the stage. Commissioner Coffin. Thank you, Commissioner. The Fire Marshal of Nassau County, Dave Bartow, also is the Executive Officer of the Fire Commission, was taken ill and is unable to be with us tonight, and the welcoming remarks will be delivered by the Chief Assistant Fire Marshal, Tom Tilley.
Good evening. On behalf of Marshal Bartow, I'd like to welcome you to the 18th Annual Nassau County Firefighters Awards Ceremony. Those of you that attend this ceremony every year will kind of notice that we have fewer recipients this year than in past years. This is not because the Fire Commission decided not to honor all the candidates that were selected. It's actually a good thing. 1998 was a good year for the Nassau County Fire Service. We only had 3 fatalities during the entire year. This is the fewest that anyone can ever remember in Nassau County. This is an astonishing number for a county our size and with our population. Maybe all of our fire safety presentations that we've been doing, all of our open houses, all of our citizen awareness programs that we've been doing, maybe they're finally starting to pay dividends. Maybe we should be giving an award to the entire Nassau County Fire Service for their relentless efforts in the area of fire prevention, judging by the last year we just had. As Nassau County firefighters, we're held to very high standards by the citizens we protect. Our citizens expect the very best from us, and we never let them down. The people you're about to meet and the stories that you're about to hear go beyond these very high expectations. That's what makes these firefighters so deserving of the awards they're going to receive tonight. Congratulations to all the recipients, and enjoy the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Very appropriate remarks. And now, for purposes of the pledge to the flag, I ask you all to rise and face the flag. The pledge to the flag will be led by Vice Chairman of the Fire Commission, Bill Coffin.
And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the invocation. You weren't following along in your little blue book. For the invocation to be given by the Nassau County Fire Service Chaplain, Father Kevin Smith.
If you'd like to take pictures, please come forward at the present time. I usually start off an invocation with a joke or something, and I just thought tonight might be a little different in that we're gathered here in this place tonight, and we all know about the events in the past 24 hours in Colorado. And I just wish that maybe, suggest that maybe we take a moment of silence to remember all those that lost their lives yesterday, all the young kids that went to school yesterday, believing that they were going to learn something and they were going to return safely home to their parents. And if we'd also remember the men and women of the rescue services that were there. And I think that's more poignant because I think the men and women in this auditorium tonight can definitely feel a sense of connectedness with all those that had to respond to that carnage that was found throughout that building. So maybe as we remember all those young children that lost their lives yesterday, we also have a sense of respect for all the law enforcement and rescue personnel that were also on the scene yesterday. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we gather in this place tonight to pay tribute to those that have given especially in their lives as rescue personnel in the fire services of Nassau County. We give you thanks for sending them among us. We ask you to reward them for their goodness and their dedication and their volunteerism. We ask you to bless all the men and women of the fire services of Nassau County, for it has been a good year, and we give thanks for the protection that's been bestowed upon us. We ask you in a special way to guide the fire services of Nassau County, that we keep doing what we do best, and that's to protect the people that we are sent and elected and decide to serve. We ask you to hear all these prayers that we ask through our Lord and God. Amen.
Please be seated. You waited. We have a number of distinguished guests with us this evening. Plus one. Gets more distinguished all the time. And I would like to take the time to introduce them because, not because they were elected to office or have given hours to public service, but because they showed up here tonight. They took the time from doing the zillion other things that they're pulled to do every hour of every day to come here, not knowing if they were going to come here for 25 minutes or 3 hours. And from the conversations that I had with some of these folks beforehand, they did it willingly, gladly, and with some sense of anticipation and positive anticipation. And that sends a lot of signals to me that give me more cause than ever to introduce them all. From the fire service side, the various fire service organizations, and there are many, send representatives, and I'd like to introduce them first. Please hold any applause until I have introduced all of the fire service representatives who are with us, and then I'm sure they would appreciate hearing from you. From the Executive Council of Firemanic Associations of Nassau County, the President, Ed Riley. From the Association of Fire Districts of Nassau County, the President, Fred Senti Jr. From the Ladies Auxiliary of the Nassau County Firemen's Association, the President, Marie Fucci, and the Secretary, Jane Black, excuse me. From the Nassau County Firemen's Parade and Drill Team Captains Association, their Secretary, Sue Lund. And I thought I saw one of the chiefs, Chief Lincoln from the Fire Service Academy here before, but it's possible that he was not able to stay, Chief Bob Lincoln. Also, the members of the Nassau County Fire Commission who are present this evening on the dais, the Chairman of the Fire Commission from the 8th Battalion, Commissioner Jay Janowitz. From the 1st Battalion, the Vice Chairman of the Commission, Commissioner Bill Coffin. The Secretary of the Fire Commission from the 4th Battalion, Commissioner John Van Houten. From the 2nd Battalion, Commissioner Tom Pellegrino. From the 5th Battalion, Commissioner Tim Valentine. From the 7th Battalion, Commissioner Jim Quigley. From the 3rd Battalion, Commissioner Jack Redash. From the 6th Battalion, Commissioner Frank A. Nocerino. and from the 9th Battalion, Commissioner Bill Pilaro. Commissioners. You met Fire Marshal Tilley before, Assistant Fire Marshal Steve Wenk in the back, and my assistant Vinny Kehoe in the back as well. I didn't see him back there. An Assistant Fire Marshal Rich McGee is also hiding in the back. Hi, Rich. We are graced this evening, as we are every year, with the presence of County Executive Tom Galata. From the Nassau County Legislature, from the 3rd District Legislator John Ciotti, from the 5th District Legislator Tom Glynn, from the 8th District Legislator Vincent Muscarella, from the 9th District Legislator Rich Nicolello, from the 13th District Legislator Norman Gonsalves, from the 17th District Legislator Ed Mangano, and from the 19th District Legislator Ed Ward. Welcome. From the town of Hempstead, the Supervisor, Richard Guardino, Jr. And Town Councilwoman Linda Reed. From the village of Freeport, the Mayor of the village of Freeport, Mayor Bill Glacken. And village trustees Don Miller, and from the Fire Service, also Trustee Don Mausberger. Thank you. From the village of Garden City, Trustee Judy Acelta. From the village of Lynbrook, Mayor Gene Scarpata. From the village of Mineola, the mayor of the village of Mineola, and also the clerk to the county legislature, big man, big job, Mayor John Colbert. From the Long Island Bus Authority, for reasons that will be obvious to you later, the manager of corporate communications, Mr. George Haber Sr., is with us this evening. From the village of Freeport, also with us this evening, the Deputy Mayor, Renaire Frierson, is with us. Checking to see if any of these pages have two sides, and I didn't know it. It's nice to have people handing you stuff. This one was a check. I'm just going to put it away here. Thank you. If I overlooked anyone, I did it on purpose because I don't like you. And you can talk to me about it later, but bring back my shoes. Very happy and proud to introduce from my home battalion, the 8th Battalion, the Chairman of the Fire Commission, Commissioner Jay Janowitz.
Thank you, Pete. On behalf of my fellow members of the Nassau County Fire Commission, I'd like to welcome everybody to the annual award ceremony. I'd also like to welcome a very good true friend to the fire service, Honorable Tom Galata, who's here tonight. I would also like to welcome the members of the Nassau County Legislature and thank them for all their assistance they've given to the fire service this past year. I would also like to welcome local officials of local villages and towns who are in attendance tonight who gave up their time. I especially like to thank the families of the firefighters who receive awards tonight, because without the families, I'm taking part of your line, sorry, Mr. Collada, but without the families, we can't go out and fight the fires. I know to the wives, I know my wife after 24 years, another dinner, another alarm. Thank God for microwave ovens, TV dinners, because I would be starving. Or Chinese food, very good. This evening we're here to honor those men and women of the Fire Rescue Service who went above the norm of their training, who sometimes didn't think twice of what they were doing to save a life of another person. I would like to thank those members of the fire service who, without their assistance this past year, as myself as commissioner, who assisted the fire commission whenever time was need, whenever I needed a letter written of different situations. I thank you for your assistance. I would also like to thank the entire fire service. We're always told we're protecting the residents of Nassau County, but we're protecting everybody who comes to visit this great town, these villages within Nassau County. And I'd like to thank them for every time we're going out for a fire call and a rescue call, we're saving a life and extending the helpfulness that's needed within this county. I think it's still, in one of your signs, Volunteer Week this week, still the continuation of Volunteer Week. And the 10,000 strong men and women who make the volunteer fire service in Nassau County, I thank you very much for your participation and your help. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Those of you who pay any attention to what ought to be the news pages of Newsday, I'm sure by now realize that about 90% of what appears as news is actually editorial. And keeping that in mind, then you must have an understanding of what the spin doctors there attempt to do on an ongoing basis, selectively. And one of the things that they seem to really enjoy is shooting at the head of the county government. And I know when I was taught in the Marine Corps, you don't shoot for the head. Chances are you're not going to hit it. You shoot for the belly, because that's where everything gets done, and that's where the killing wounds are applied. Well, Newsday's efforts notwithstanding, we happen to have, in my humble opinion, an outstanding head of our county government. And I've had the very good fortune to be able to work for and with Mr. Galata for a good many years. And again, the opinion of the media notwithstanding, I believe the fire service and rescue EMS service in Nassau County has never gotten a better shake than they've gotten since we've had Tom Galata sitting in the chair in the county executive's office. And that's, go ahead. And he's certainly not here because he needs to make another public appearance. God knows. He's here because of his concern for, care about, and probably, although he probably wouldn't say it to me, love for the emergency service providers in Nassau County. It's an underused word in many instances, the word love, and it's overused in so many others that when you want to say it sincerely, it sometimes sounds trite and worn out. But I think that kind of love is what brings this man here, and I'm happy to introduce the county executive, Tom Galata.
Peter, thank you very much, and let me at the very inception thank Peter for the incredible job that he does. He keeps this program moving along each year, but at the same time pays proper deference and respect to each of those who are being honored He is an outstanding member of our fire services and a dear and wonderful friend to many throughout this county. Doesn't look for the accolades and the awards himself, but rightfully deserves the proper recognition. And Peter, thank you for all that you do. I am so very proud of the members of emergency services and the volunteer fire services in this county. Every time I have the opportunity to see the members of the volunteer fire services in action or participate with them at different events, I never fail to be enthralled by the courage, dedication, commitment, inner strength, and spirit of those who have voluntarily given of their time to reach out and help others in the community. And Jay mentioned it, and Peter mentioned it. There are families who are here tonight. And each of the children who are here, and the spouses and family members, that's really what it's all about. No one could do what individual members of the fire services do were it not for the support of a loving family. You can't fight a fire, go home and just forget the events that took place. It lives with you, and that's especially true when you are trying to save a life, where you're putting your life on the line to protect and save another living human being. Probably the most important function that anybody can provide. And you do it not because you have to, but because you care. And tonight, we honor some of the best among the best, and they truly represent, in many respects, the volunteer fire services generally in this county. And when I attend the annual installation dinners of the respective departments, and I say that you are the best among the best. I've had the opportunity to witness what happens in other areas of this country and to listen to people, even in other areas of this state, who will say that their home was on fire and it took a good half hour for the local fire services to arrive. Not to diminish those local fire services, but in comparison with what we have here, the residents of this county can be fortunate and thankful indeed for the fact that we have members of the volunteer fire services who are there not counted in hours or in quarters of an hour or half of an hour, but rather in minutes to respond to saving a person's life or saving property. You are very, very special people. And I wish that that could be incorporated in a plaque or a medallion, but in some small way through the fire services and through the commission. We try to acknowledge the brave and courageous acts of those who are being honored tonight. You can't put it in a plaque or a medal or a medallion, but those to whom you respond are the most thankful of all. There's no one who can appreciate more what you do than someone in crisis, seeing a volunteer firefighter or emergency medical technician arriving at the scene with the knowledge and the tools and the capability of resolving that crisis. Nothing is more important to them at that moment. So I thank you. And if from time to time, and I thank the members of the media who are here tonight, if from time to time there's a tendency on the part of the public to take for granted what you might do, or if there's a tendency on the part of the media, some of the media, to accentuate the negative over the positive, we've all been subject to that. And I just want you to know that there are many who truly appreciate what you do. There are many who are honored to be in your presence, and I count myself among them. I just ask you to keep marching ahead, keep doing what you do best, because there are many of us who are privileged to follow in your footsteps. May God bless you.
Tell you how this works so that you can be ready with your cameras. We're going to go in the order. Once again, I refer to you to your mandatory blue book, and we're going to go in the order in which the awards are presented in the program. And I will read a brief narrative of the situation, and then after that, individually, the recipients will come to center stage, along with the county exec, the chairman of the fire commission, the chairman of their battalion, and whichever political dignitaries would like to participate in the presentations. And at that time, please come forward, take photos, anticipate who's coming up next. So if you're toward the back and yours is coming up, move on down and be ready to take your photos. And feel free, stay and take as many as you want. And even go, wait, if something goes wrong. Right? Because it's really neat. We all get to laugh. And then you get to sit down later and say to the person next to you, oh, God, I can't believe I did that again. What that man must think. Who cares? What do you think of me? You know, no bigger jerk in the place, so enjoy. Shortly before midnight, last October 10th, truck company number 1 of the Elmont Fire Department arrived at a working house fire on Cathy Court. A resident had informed firefighters that someone was trapped in the basement. Upon entering the dwelling, ex-Captain Joseph Taranto and firefighters Thomas Taranto and Christopher Guaracio opened the basement door and were met with intense heat and billowing black smoke. They descended the stairs, unaware of the volume of fire below. Without the protection afforded by a charged hand line, they moved into the basement, always keeping within arm's length of one another. To the left of the stair landing, they located a bed, but no occupant for that bed. They continued further into the dangerous environment of the basement, where the smoke and heat intensified with each step. Ex-Captain Taranto came upon a closed door that was very hot to his touch. He warned the 2 brother firefighters that he was going to open the door, and they should be aware of the possibility of flashover. Once the door was opened, a great volume of heat and smoke rushed out. The rescuers paused for a brief moment to assure themselves of safety, then entered the room. Once inside, they discovered the victim, a 51-year-old man lying on the floor a few feet inside. Together, the team grabbed the victim by his arms and legs and made their way out of the bedroom and up the stairs. By this time, the first hand line was being stretched into position. Unfortunately, the victim had suffered severe burns and smoke inhalation and was declared dead at the scene. For his heroic efforts, undertaken without protection of a hand line and working within an extremely hostile environment below grade, the Fire Commission is proud to present to ex-Captain Joseph Taranto the Silver Medal of Valor for great personal risk. Don't go too far. Don't go too far, all right. And for his brave actions at the same Cathy Court fire, we are proud to present the Silver Medal of Valor to Elmont firefighter Thomas Taranto.
Use that at the end.
And for his heroism at the same Cathy Court fire, we are delighted to present the Silver Medal of Valor to firefighter Christopher Guarasio of the Elmont Fire Department. Heavy. Mid-afternoon on February 1st, 1998, the Freeport Fire Department was called to a dwelling fire on Grand Avenue. Upon arrival, within moments of the transmission of the alarm, firefighter Darren Eberhardt was geared up and operating with his company, Unit 211. Heavy fire was showing on the porch and inside the 2.5-story dwelling. As firefighters arrived, the electric service line to the house burned through and fell onto a chain-link fence, charging the fence and greatly hampering the attack on the fire. Firefighter Eberhardt, along with 2 other members, were ordered to stretch a line up the aerial ladder to protect members who were trying to effect the rescue of a woman trapped in the attic. Firefighter Eberhardt thought he heard a woman's screams, so he entered the attic and initiated a search. He encountered firefighter Jerry Festa, who had entered the attic moments before and had managed to locate the victim, but was unable to move her by himself. Together, the pair relocated the victim as the fire continued to rage on the 2 floors below them. They removed her from the bed and performed a carry and drag operation to get her to the window. As they arrived at the window, it became obvious that the rescue through it would be difficult at best. Smoke and heat were blasting up from below, and the victim, who was naked, burned, and slippery, was difficult to handle. A tower ladder basket was moved to the window area where, with protection from a hose stream, the 2 rescuers, with assistance from other firefighters, managed to place the victim into the basket. She was lowered to the street and transported to the hospital, where she later succumbed to her burns and was pronounced dead. The action of these 2 brave firefighters in effecting this rescue went far above and beyond the call of duty. They placed their lives at great risk in attempting to save the life of a fellow human being. For his bravery in this valiant attempt, we are proud to present to firefighter Darren Eberhardt the Silver Medal of Valor for great personal risk.
It's your first book.
And for his selfless act of bravery at this same fire, we are happy to present to Freeport firefighter Jerry Festa the Silver Medal of Valor for great personal risk. When Freeport Fire Department ex-Captain Stanley Costello arrived at the Grand Avenue fire, he was picked up for operations in the tower ladder. While the rescue was being attempted, ex-Captain Costello noticed that both the victim and the two rescuers would be in grave danger of falling in attempting to move the victim to the basket of the tower. So in disregard for his own safety, he exited the safety of the basket and stood on the outside platform to assist in the rescue. As he received the weight of the unconscious victim, he was steadied by other members so he too would not fall. For his actions in operating outside the tower basket, without the benefit of a lifeline and with the fire and smoke billowing up from below him, we proudly present to ex-Captain Stanley Costello of the Freeport Fire Department the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk. Freeport ex-Captain Joseph Stallone arrived at the fire scene within moments of the transmission of the alarm. He climbed the area ladder which had been positioned to the attic window. When firefighters Festa and Eberhardt reached the window with the victim, ex-Captain Stallone partially entered the front window and helped lift the woman clear. He was supporting her weight during the transfer to ex-Captain Costello and was relying solely upon his own balance to keep himself and the victim from falling. Like the other rescuers involved in this heroic act, he performed this action while subjected to the smoke and heat from the fire raging below. For his unselfish act of heroism, we are proud to present to ex-Captain Joseph Stallone the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk. Find out what they feed that kid and send some home to my kids. It's got to work better than the Jack Daniels. I'd like to take a moment to introduce a dignitary in the true sense of the word who has joined us since our opening remarks. And I refer to a very strong and positive friend of the fire service, both in his township and indeed county-wide. Gives me great pleasure to introduce the supervisor of the town of Oyster Bay, Supervisor John Menditto. On Friday, March 27, 1998, at about 12:30 noon, the Garden City Fire Department, along with units from the Hempstead Fire Department, responded to a building collapse and fire at the Long Island Lighting Company facility at Franklin Avenue and 2nd Street in Garden City, near the Hempstead border. Assistant Chief John Nesbitt was informed by the incident commander that the building had been under demolition and that one demolition worker was trapped in the collapse. The exact location of the victim was unknown. Assistant Chief Nesbitt, along with a crew of 6 firefighters, was assigned to handle the interior search and rescue effort. Chief Nesbitt called for the hearse tool and rescue airbags to be assembled in the event they were needed. With the protection of one single hand line, the team entered the still collapsing building. In all, the Garden City team, assisted by 2 members of the Hempstead Fire Department, spent 10 minutes, which seems like an eternity, in a collapsing, burning building, locating and removing the victim from beneath a pile of burning roof debris. Bricks and cinder blocks were falling, and the atmosphere in the structure was unsafe. Despite these obstacles, the rescue team, under the command of Chief Nesbitt, managed to perform an heroic rescue, saving the life of a 32-year-old demolition worker from New Jersey. For his actions in placing the life and safety of the trapped victim ahead of his own safety, we are proud to present Assistant Chief John Nesbitt of the Garden City Fire Department the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk. And for his actions at the building collapse in Garden City, we are proud to present to Lieutenant Peter Margaritis of the Garden City Fire Department the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk. And for his selfless act of bravery in the rescue of a stranger under dangerous, potentially deadly conditions, we proudly present the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk to firefighter Donald Mara. And for his actions of heroism and bravery at the same call, we present the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk to firefighter John Monahan. for his actions at the same call, we present the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk to Garden City firefighter Robert Noonan. And for his actions of bravery and selflessness at the same call, we are proud to present the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk to Garden City firefighter Michael Pasquarelli. And for his actions at the same call on the Garden City-Hempstead border, we are proud to present the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk to Garden City firefighter Richard Spatafora. And for his actions at this same call, responding from the Hempstead Fire Department, we are proud to present the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk to Hempstead firefighter Jeff Lutfi. And for his selfless act of bravery in the rescue of a stranger, we are proud to present the Bronze Medal of Valor for meritorious personal risk to Hempstead firefighter Walter Mareka. Shortly after 2 o'clock in the morning of last June 13th, the Elmont Fire Department was summoned to the scene of an overturned auto on the Southern State Parkway. Arriving units, Heavy Rescue Company Number 1, Engine Company 3, and EMS found the vehicle off-road overturned about 20 yards into the woods. A male victim had his right arm from the shoulder down pinned between the roof of the vehicle and the ground. His neck and head were pinned between the muddy ground and the door jamb of the car. The victim was conscious, but very anxious and possibly in shock. The rescuers quickly determined that any movement of the vehicle would cause additional injury or death to the victim. The ground was sloped and muddy with broken trees and debris from the accident. Rescuers began to inflate airbags at each end of the vehicle to stabilize it, but they discovered to their dismay that the bag at the rear end couldn't be used because of the amount of debris present. The victim's condition was deteriorating rapidly, so a decision was made to lift the vehicle as quickly as possible. The lift was performed, and the vehicle was chocked in a number of places so it couldn't move onto the victim or his rescuers. Once the vehicle was lifted about a foot above the ground, the victim's arm was freed, and he was removed from under the vehicle, placed on a longboard, and carried out from the woods. Once in the ambulance, he was treated and transported to Mercy Medical Center, suffering from a fractured arm and neck and spinal injuries. The teamwork required to effect this rescue was tremendous. Conditions were far less than ideal, and members worked together to a successful conclusion. We are delighted to present the Elmont Fire Department with our Fire Department Unit Citation. Receiving the citation for the Elmont Fire Department will be Captain Mike Romano. Cast your memory back to the Grand Avenue fire in Freeport and imagine, if you will, operating on a fire ground where your efforts must focus on a life-saving attempt while giving great attention and wide berth to a chain-link fence fully charged with electricity from a fallen house service wire. Heavy fire is present both inside and outside the structure, and fire rescuers are inside and out attempting to make a rescue. The coordination required to fight the fire, position and operate two pieces of aerial equipment, and assure the safety of all fire department personnel was nothing less than remarkable. And yet, all the members of the Freeport Fire Department, reacting to their training and operating under the command of effective leadership, managed to pull it off. Yes, unfortunately, the victim did not survive, but that fact in no way lessens the importance and effectiveness of this Herculean effort. For this wonderful effort, we proudly present to the Freeport Fire Department our Fire Department Unit Citation, which will be received by Chief of Department James Olin. I just said I waited 55 and a half years to use the word Herculean in a sentence. I looked it up on the internet, how to spell it. Well, actually, my daughter looked it up on the internet. The Garden City Fire Department Chief of Department, Rick Gardner, submitted a letter defining the activity at the local building collapse operation as actions of his members, and I quote, in disregard for their own safety in the face of continuing collapse and extreme danger. What a marvelously accurate description. Well, we agree. And we're happy to present to the Garden City Fire Department the Fire Commission's Fire Department Unit Citation, and receiving will be Chief of Department Rich Shirillo. The overturning of a gasoline tanker on the Long Island Expressway on the afternoon of last August 21st triggered an outstanding emergency response under the command of Jericho Fire Department Chief David M. Ginsburg. Upon his arrival at the scene, Chief Ginsburg found a fully loaded tanker carrying nearly 10,500 gallons of gasoline. It was lying on its side, spewing gasoline onto the roadway. Two of its dome hatches were open, dumping gasoline into the eastbound lanes. Chief Ginsburg called for immediate assistance from the Hicksville Fire Department's Hazardous Materials Response Team and the Nassau County Fire Marshal's Office. Nassau County Highway Patrol Officer Brian Adams entered the area where gasoline was free-flowing and closed the hatches, thereby greatly diminishing the flow of gas. He has subsequently been recognized by the police department for his heroic act. The injured driver was transported to the hospital by the police department. Jericho Fire Department Engine Company 942 was the next arriving unit. A 5-inch feeder line was stretched to feed the engine for a massive foam operation. Additional units from Syosset, East Norwich, and Plainview were then requested. In addition, the Glenwood Fire Company was called for its foam unit, and an airport crash truck from Republic Airport responded as well. A water tanker from the Huntington Fire Department was called in, and ultimately, units from Bethpage, East Meadow, Glen Cove, Levittown, Carl Place, Westbury, Roslyn Highlands, and North Massapequa responded to the scene. Support units from the Nassau County Police Emergency Services Bureau Hazmat Unit, New York State and Federal Transportation Departments, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and the Town of Oyster Bay and Nassau County Fire and Rescue Services Field Comm Unit were all called into action for this operation. Local residents were evacuated by the police, and traffic control measures were effected, resulting in a major traffic jam which on occasion hampered the response of mutual aid. In all, despite the heat of the day, the traffic, the presence of a highly explosive flammable liquid, and the high level of anxiety, the event was brought to a successful conclusion through the teamwork, courage, and professionalism shown by everyone involved. For their great job, the Fire Commission is proud to present to the Jericho Fire Department our Fire Department Unit Citation, which will be received by Chief of Department Rich Schiraldi. This one's cool. How many of you were in Nassau County last Labor Day? Oof-ah. Remember the hailstones? Like, oh, great. On Labor Day 1998 at about 2:30 in the afternoon, the village of Lynbrook was struck with a devastating Class 2 tornado. For the next 17 hours, the officers and members of the Lynbrook Fire Department braved the elements, placing the safety of the community ahead of their own comfort and safety. Large trees were toppled and pulled from the ground. Cars were crushed. Buildings collapsed or were in imminent danger of collapse. Power lines were down, sometimes trapping people in their cars. All the while, automatic fire alarms poured in. Fire and rescue units were dispatched only to find roads blocked by storm debris. The ambulance responded accompanied by an engine or truck company. In the aftermath, beginning at about 7 o'clock at night, a damage assessment was performed, and the fire department members conducted a door-to-door survey to ensure that all the residents were safe and accounted for. Mutual aid units were called in to assist in this operation, which continued until after 2 o'clock in the morning. Standby crews from the Lynbrook Fire Department stayed on duty throughout the night, finally being released at 7:30 the next morning. As you can see, the Lynbrook Fire Department was pushed to the limit by this natural disaster, but rose to the occasion in dramatic fashion. The acts of heroism and the team effort on the part of the fire department were instrumental in returning the village to a normal existence. For this reason, the Fire Commission proudly presents the Lynbrook Fire Department with its Fire Department Unit Citation, which will be received by Chief John Venza. I would like to ask the Chief of the Mineola Fire Department, Chief Jack Gason, and Village Trustee, ex-Chief Lou Santosis, to please join me on the stage. Mr. Peter Henricks arrived at his father's store, Cook's Deli in Mineola, at about 5:15 in the morning of last May 1st. He parked in his usual spot in the rear of the building. He spotted a fire burning in the back of the building. The rapidly building fire was encroaching on the building next door as well. Mr. Henricks briefly attempted to fight the fire with a garden hose, but quickly saw the futility in doing so. He ran to the front of the store to call the fire department, but the phone lines had been burned through. He ran across the street and summoned help. The outside rear patio area of the store was now fully involved, and the fire was spreading to the apartments upstairs. Recognizing the danger, Mr. Henricks entered the burning building and went up the stairs to alert the residents by pounding on their doors and ringing their doorbells. At this point, Mr. John Schmidt, a bus driver for the MTA Long Island Bus Company, was driving his bus past the fire scene on Mineola Boulevard. He saw the smoke and flames, so he stopped his bus, ran into the building and up the stairs, and proceeded to assist Mr. Henricks in the evacuation of the building. Without regard for their own safety, and with none of the protection which is traditionally offered to fire and rescue personnel, these two brave men successfully evacuated the building. After leading the residents from the building, Mr. Schmidt was treated for smoke inhalation and heat exposure at the scene. He was later treated and released at Winthrop University Hospital. Had it not been for their efforts, the lives of the people who were let out of this very dangerous fire would most certainly have been placed in very serious jeopardy. Now, it's one thing to enter a burning building when you've had 1, 5, 10, or even 30 years of experience in entering burning buildings. It's another thing entirely to be presented with a situation at 5 o'clock in the morning where someone else's life sits in your hands, and you have neither the training nor the equipment to accomplish the saving of those lives. And yet these two individuals, without the training, acting on instinct, acting out of love, out of kindness, out of concern for their fellow man, placed their lives in danger to save the life of someone else. It is with great pride, pleasure, and a good measure of humility that the Fire Commission presents our Civilian Award to Mr. Peter Henricks. And to the man who left home for work with nothing more on his mind than getting his bus through the route and safely back to the garage. And oh, by the way, I'll stop and save some lives along the route. We're proud to present our Civilian Award to Mr. John J.C. Schmidt. Before I ask Father Smith to give us benediction, I would like to thank you all for coming. Also would like to ask those of you who want to take photographs of the groups of recipients together by department or however you wish, by family in some cases, to please come up quickly after the ceremony so that we can allow our visiting dignitaries to take their leave in some type of a timely manner. I thank all of them for coming and joining with us as well this evening. It speaks volumes when the mayor of a village or the supervisor of a town or the legislator for a district, and certainly for the county executive to come and join us in paying tribute to these heroic individuals, and I would like to applaud all of them for the time they've given us this evening. Please arrive home safely. God bless you and thank you very much. Father Smith.
One of the, I was thinking about what Mr. Galata said when he said that he gets a chance to go to the installation dinners of the departments. That's one of my fun times also, as a matter of fact, being one of the chaplains of the Elmont Fire Department. And they've been so well behaved this evening. And we get to this point where they have the benediction at the end, and I'm the last thing between them and a cold beer. And I suspect that maybe that's the same thing tonight. Not that I advocate anything that Commissioner Meade said tonight about Jack Daniels, but maybe in a very special way. I think one of the things that really hits home to me tonight as we end this with prayer is that I probably could tell some pretty interesting and very funny stories about some of the installation dinners, some of the company dinners, some of the parade and drills that I've been a part of. But I can also tell you about the tanker truck. I can tell you about Kathy Court. And that, I think, is where it's at. Because a lot of the men and women of the fire service really do have a good time together. And they definitely know how to party. But when things start to happen, I've never seen anybody get more serious and more selfless than the fire services in Nassau County. And I think we need to pay tribute to that. And in a very special way, we ask, dear Lord, to bless each and every member of the Nassau County Fire Services and rescue personnel, that as we leave this building tonight, that they arrive home safely, and that when the call comes, day, night, weekend, that you protect them, that you bring them safely home to their families, who love them dearly and are very proud of them. We ask this prayer through our Lord and God. Amen.
Thank you and good night.
I can't believe it. You must rehearse this. Look at this.
I told you an hour and a half.
You are.
Not too shabby.
Great work.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. Thank you. I love it. Thanks for coming.